Look at that squib. Coming down. Patio, wall, whatever that is. Sand.
That's all she wants.
Lakeside, boys. Building this road.
Alright, start loading him up.
Okay. Well, boys, looks like we're replacing the deck too.
I wish I would have got a better video.
Oopsies. Better than being in the drink, though.
I thought he was gonna keep going.
Our way to the bottom. We're removing, dude, crazy. They had 2 decks, 1 deck built on top of the other deck, and then underneath concrete everywhere. So we're working on removing all that, getting that out of here, and starting to build this retaining wall. Alright guys, so this is like some of the stuff you gotta look out for in excavation. So underneath the old deck, buried behind all of this stuff, there was this massive stump. We found another one also. This thing was huge for the size excavator we had on site, and this is something like you gotta charge for. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time on this thing and we gotta pay to dispose of it and haul it away. But it is what it is, all part of the business. Keep on chugging. Alright guys, so before we build the wall, we're fixing up their beach area. So they had a bunch of erosion issues. They lost majority of their beach and it was cutting it real close up into their yard. So we're extending their beach with some good beach sand and stuff. We got our big tarp blanket out there to protect any of the dirt or anything washing into the lake, so that way we can get it all cleaned out. And what we're doing is we're installing an 18 to 36 inch riprap along the whole face of the water line, and then we'll be installing a couple steps so they can walk down into the lake with ease and give it a nice high-end look. So we're going to stack all that riprap up real nice. This will stop the beach from eroding and all the sand from washing into the lake. Geogrid for life. Best way to build a retaining wall, especially when you're on the lake. It's got a high water table. We're gonna put a load of this 1x3s down, 12 inches of that, 12 inches of crushed concrete, compacted. Thing's gonna be 100 years before it ever moves. Get that all excavated. Dude, I'll show you guys some pictures of this thing. This was definitely a tricky site. A little bit tight in here. Got some limestone riprap down. It's time to get going. We got rain coming tomorrow. We got to get at least a row of blocks in before we lose the house. All right, guys, since we're so close to the water table down here, this is where we're adding the 1x3s. We're doing a big layer of that, and then we're compacting it, and then we're covering it in crushed concrete and doing another 6 to 10 inches of that and compacting that. That way, the base of this retaining wall is solid for a long period of time and also will allow for some drainage. And we're running a bunch of perforated drain tile also behind this wall and 3/4 inch drainage stone all the way up the back of the wall, so we have sufficient drainage. When we dug in here, it was really nasty clay and it was really wet, and we just wanted to improve all the soil conditions as much as possible. Alright guys, so as you can see over the layer of 1x3s, we're also putting Geogrid, and then this is where we're adding the crushed concrete, and this is our final base course. We're kind of doubling up. Typically you'd only use one layer of Geogrid underneath, but since where this lies and how close we are to the water table and stuff, we just really want to make sure the ground's stabilized for our retaining wall. Alright guys, so these are the blocks. We're using a Verdi block today. These are 2,800 pounds a piece. Super heavy duty, super awesome if you have a lot of earth you want to hold up. They're, to me, way better. We don't use any of the small blocks. Every wall we install, I like to use the big heavy blocks. We get a lot of frost in the ground here in Michigan, so we typically like to go with these kind of blocks. They're cool. You fill the centers with some crushed drainage stone. That way all the water seeps through the center and goes down into a tile that we have underneath. And they're some of the best blocks I've ever used, and they look awesome. And for the drainage stone, we're using a 3/4 inch crush limestone. This is what we're filling the blocks with to allow for sufficient drainage. As you can see, going up and down this hill is kind of a pain in the butt, one bucket at a time, super time consuming, super hard on the equipment. But versus doing it with the skid steer and tearing up this whole place and not being able to reach to the necessary dumping points, that's kind of our options, and that's what we did. But worked out pretty good. You can see these blocks are super easy to set once you have a couple hands to guide them in there, and they fit like right up on the buttons like Legos. Dude, he looks like Crocodile Dundee's son. What do you want me to do? Is it level?
Stop it.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. T-Crash, how are you gonna tell him this stuff?
Back to business. Building walls on hills where it rains too much. Never met a Karen. Bro, I was like, let's go, and he goes, dude, stop yelling at me. Stop.
Crazy sound. I'm like, dude, are you dead? Like, what happened? He calls me back like 10 minutes later. He's like, bro, I fell on my ass down the mud hill and my phone went flying.
They're like 15 feet, dog.
I literally heard it all. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I thought he like crashed his car.
Have you seen that John Seaman guy on YouTube? He kind of reminds me of Mark, bro.
Dog.
This guy, he's always gets himself into some fucking dumb shit. But he's pretty smart.
I mean, maybe at making content, but not at construction. Alright, we got the wall coming together. We got T. Kirby's Beach Madness. Looking like, dude, I'd hang out here. Would you?
I would.
Mr. Miyagi with his little glasses there. Poker King.
Baccarat later.
We got the Poker King.
Baccarat.
Is that what they wear? Oh, dude, Molly Jim's. High roller.
Baccarat. Catfish.
That's what your girl says. I got catfished.
Huh? Mark, I feel like you have been catfished.
It's a 200-pound slab. That right there, that's what you call ingenuity. You can't teach this, folk. I'm gonna show you how to set a 200-pound slab while eating a brownie. One-handed.